Trooper is one of those classes in typical Call 2 who can pull their own weight within their team. Despite being the second slowest class in the game, it has by far the best mobility option with rocket jumping. Also, the Trooper can dish out phenomenal damage. Being blessed with the rocket launcher's 4 90 damaging AoE projectiles, you can pretty much use this weapon in any situation at any time in any game mode. So, what can we infer from this information about Trooper's gameplay? Well, it's that he is great and reliable for diving into the enemy team head first with high mobility and dealing massive amounts of splash damage, which can reliably take out multiple enemies. The main downside to this is that rocket jumping has a cost, which is health, and going into the enemy gamer's head first also costs health because, those enemy gamers are going to be shooting at you. This is sensible game design choice, in a game filled with hit or miss weapons as its style of gameplay, and it lets you put yourself in a more favorable situation in exchange for survivability. But besides all that, I think this is fair gameplay interaction between how Trooper interacts with his enemies and how it encourages high risk, high reward gameplay. Unless of course you're using the ass box, which is the main exception to what I just said about Trooper's gameplay interaction. Okay, so the black box, I mean the Great Unifier, is a rocket launcher for the Trooper that grants some health on hit, capping out at 20 HP when dealing 90 damage. This health steal effect does scale with damage, so trying to snipe an enemy from a mile away is not going to be very effective for health restoration. As for downsides, you lose out on 1 rocket. Jesus Christ, you lose out on a quarter of your potential damage. Trying to take down a sentry, dang it. Getting a doctor to ubercharge you into the enemy team, dang it. Being able to actually protect yourself, dang it. Alright, you get the general idea. Losing out on a rocket is very costly for all the Trooper mates out there. Except for the fresh installs, since the lack of 1 rocket means nothing to them since they haven't fully understood the game yet. Anyways, let's get onto that life steal effect. To answer the quick questions, yes, it can lessen the cost of health and rocket jumping, and yes, it can lessen stealth damage. But let's get more complex with how you can take advantage of the health on it. Hey, come on, it's not that painful for all of us Trooper mains out there. All I'm doing is seeing how situationally useful the health on hit is, and what loadouts it can be used to maximize its potential. Alright, let's get the obvious out the way. The Conqueror is the most used banner of the Crutch Box. In fact, it's most definitely the most used secondary with it. All of the time you see Troopers use it with the Crutcher, it's because they want to maximize that sweet and juicy health steal effect to the brim and have a pseudo-pocket medic up their ass. So you can kind of see where this is going with the Great Unifier's reputation within the game. The health steal effect is paired with the Conqueror in order to maximize self-healing, and because newer players aren't all that affected by the Great Unifier's downside of missing a rocket, it means nothing to them. I mean, sure, this strategy can work and is effective at practically giving you a free pocket doctor, but there are more practical options at a Great Unifier Trooper's disposal, which brings us onto our next banner. By far, the most effective banner that I would use would have to be the buff banner, or the Buffin Blitz for all those Trooper enthusiasts out there, for 2 simple reasons. To get the obvious out the way, the buff banner's mini crits make it so that every single shot you inflict will always give you 20 health because, as most of us know, mini crit boosted shots have no damage fall off, and not only that, but also the damage boosting effect that the buff banner has practically ensures that every interaction you will have will give you a plus 20 health advantage, so long as you hit your shots. The other more useful implication to use the buff banner, however, is for that faster reload and firing speed bonus. Plus 10% doesn't seem like a lot, but when the rocket launcher reloads at a snail's pace, you can really feel the additional reload speed bonus. The increased fire rate doesn't matter all that much to me. Sure, it can save your life in a pinch, especially with the plus 20 health gain on hit, but you really shouldn't be putting yourself in life-threatening situations anyways because you lack a rocket. Anyways, back to that reload implication. The reload speed bonus can indirectly soften the cost of missing your rockets since, you're loading more rockets at a faster pace in order to shoot more bad guys, and you can reload the rocket quicker when you rocket jump. So you have a fresh new one in the chamber to replace your 4th missing rocket. Alright, enough glazing the buff banner, so let's move on to the battalion's backup. The battalion's backup isn't a bad option per se, it's just that the buff banner is more useful because it enforces the fact that the Great Unifier lets you tank more damage. Unlike the buff banner, which makes up the cost of missing a rocket with higher damage when popped and a faster reload speed to lower the cost. So the battalion's backup just encourages more passive gameplay. Sure, the increased max health you get lets you take more risks and stay in fights for longer, especially when the banner is popped, but do you want to know what else is more effective in fights and risk taking? Yeah, the buff banner, because instead of letting you take shots from the enemy, you erase the enemy from existence. Enemy gamers shooting at me. What? Enemy gamers? Anyways, back to my main point. The battalion's backup isn't all that effective in increasing your effectiveness with the Great Unifier. It can increase your survivability, sure, but having an ability to outrate the elite enemies while healing yourself instead of putting everything into survivability is sort of contradicting Trooper's thing to be more flexible and great at multiple tasks. I'm gonna be cut and dry, transparent and clear, straightforward and point blank about the secondary. The gunboats aren't all that effective with the Great Unifier. Yes, I know. But just shut the fuck up! Alright, okay. Shut up. Let me explain myself here. Yes, I know that taking reduced damage from rocket jumping is great and hard to pass up on, and the health steal effect can effectively give you free jumps afterwards, but with the reduced clip size and since you're already getting health back from dealing damage, I see as more of just overkill to be using the gunboats to prevent self-damage. You're already one of the highest damage dealing classes in the game with a rocket launcher, so getting that health back isn't that much of a chore in the first place, and not having something like the buff band or even just a shotgun to offset the reduced firepower can really hurt your potential damage output. And as I said about the battalion's backup, going all in on survivability isn't really good when your class has one of the most powerful guns in the game alongside having one of the highest damage potentials. Trooper isn't really meant to be played passively and not take any risks. It's just counterintuitive to his design. Alright, on to the damaging secondaries for the Great Unifier, and for this demonstration, I'll just be using the Death Blow since, let's face it, it's the strongest shotgun option in the context of Trooper and Arsonist. Equipping a shotgun can offset the lower clip size since, well, you've now got more ammo at your disposal to fire. You can use the Great Unifier for health and your shotgun for firepower, and with the Death Blow's faster holster and deploy speed bonuses, you can, in a similar fashion with the Degradation Death Blow, practically dual wield these weapons. For me, the Death Blow and the Buff Banner can be used interchangeably and extremely effective since they both increase your firepower, which offsets the Great Unifier's downside, and encourages risk-taking in order to maximize the health steal effect, which for me, I think was the main intention of the existence of the Great Unifier, to pair with other secondaries that increase your damage so when you do take risk, taking damage is softened by the rocket's health steal effect, and since you have a damaging secondary option, that downside of missing one rocket isn't as costly. I really do think that Troopers equipping the Great Unifier can be just as flexible and play more risky for higher rewards because of what the gun promotes. It's just so sad to see it only be used with the Conqueror for this passive and pseudo pocket medic playstyle and not see all the possibilities and reach its potential with it, so come on, let's give it a try and see where this gun will take us Trooper mains too. Unless the second someone on our team starts to play Doctor, in which case we all switch back to stock.